You're listening to the Erith Town Dockers Debate.
Well, good afternoon, dear listener. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Dockers Debate, kindly hosted on the stream by Mr. Nick Hart and all those at Achtung Millwall. I am joined proudly for this inaugural episode by Mr. Adam Woodward, the first team manager, coach and head honcho of Erith Town FC. Say hello, Adam.
Hello, hope everyone's well and keep on listening.
Keep on listening indeed. Up the Dockers and hashtag all that. So we are currently at Bayliss Avenue, where we are at the new stadium of Erith Town FC after a recent move from the Erith Leisure Centre. So should we have a walk and talk, see how we get on here?
Good.
So yeah, just going through the main gate here, for those who don't know Bayliss Avenue, former home of which club was it?
Thamesmead Town. I played here as a youth team player and a first team as well and reserves. And this wasn't like this when I first played here. The pitch was where it was now, but there used to be, the car park used to have our clubhouse in it. There was no 4G. This 4G used to be a training pitch that we played on as a youth team. But the first team pitch hasn't moved. It's just been built around. Yeah,
and just walking in there, it's a lovely 3G, 4G pitch there. You've got a couple of young lads. I'm hoping they've paid to book it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the local community projects going on down here. There's quite a few community projects here that Charlton U do. So it's a lovely facility. Obviously, that's all being taken up in the next few weeks or a month or so to be laid with brand new 3G AstroTurf being laid on there, so it looks nice and fresh.
No, it does, doesn't it? And to be fair as well, this was obviously part of the move as well, wasn't it, to train on facilities like this, or at least have some of your first team training, your Kent Youth League teams playing and training here?
Yeah, it just made sense really. Obviously, the Leisure Centre was a great place, we had some good times there, but as a club, for us to move to the next level, we need something that's more secure and something that we can have a long-term lease on there. Obviously, we're looking to get naming rights for the stadium in July with a company to be associated with, so it just, like I said, it made sense to move here and obviously see our long-term future here.
No, exactly, and you've probably heard there the automatic doors opening there, and we're now in the sort of facilities where the changing rooms are and the bar. We'll go to the bar shortly in a minute, or do we go to the bar now?
Go up to the bar.
Why not? Well, while we're taking the stairs up, tell us about last season, Adam. It was a fourth place finish, wasn't it? Really close, basically up until the second or third week before the end. All four of us were in it, weren't we?
Yeah, down to the last two games really, we fell away a little bit. We suffered a lot for our FA Vars, going as far as we could in that, and I think we had a good cup run in semi-final of another cup, and maybe that hurt us towards the end of the season with injuries with players. But it was another improvement for the club. Obviously, there's a lot of big hitters in our league, and we managed to compete up until, like I said, the last two games really. And unfortunately, we just couldn't keep going, and we lost a lot of big players towards the end, a lot of goal scorers for us towards the end, which sort of hurt us massively. But it was an improvement on what it's been. It was the most points that the club's ever got in the league, furthest ever got in the Vars. So the boys have broke some records there, and it's now time to push on next season. And
to be fair, ultimately, and this isn't any disrespect to the teams who've gone up, and please don't take it the wrong way if there's any non-league fans who listen and follow those teams, but Erith and Belvedere, they had quite a big gamble, didn't they? And it obviously paid off. Phoenix come down from the IFMI and South East, so they already had a couple of players who used to play on higher level. So even though the Sheppies and the Chathams have gone, they were replaced with pretty much like for like, weren't they?
Yeah, there's obviously this season's going to be even tougher. We've got a few sides. I think I would say there'd be 10 to 12 teams looking to all be fighting for them playoff spots, and some sides had good runs last year as well. We had a very good run, fell away at the end, but all we can do is worry about ourselves, and that's what we'll do next season. We don't really need to add too much. 90% of the team stayed. Probably add 2 or 3 players to that, and then try and stick together and set up a game plan for this season.
Absolutely, and I know under different embargoes and rules like that, we're not allowed to talk about any new signings, but we've obviously got a list of people who want to come in. It's looking promising.
Yep, so we set our target out. There was 3 targets I've spoken to, and hopefully they should be across the line. Obviously no one can sign until, I think it's the 1st of July is when the forms come out, so at the moment it's all handshakes and agreements. So obviously, like I said, 90% of our teams agreed to stay. The boys that I'm talking to at the moment are discussing whether they come across or not, but that's going really well, and hopefully we can get them on board for pre-season. We can kick on start straight away.
Well, if it's like a Paul Gascoigne thing, do you remember when he was due to sign for Man United? Then he went abroad and sold for Spurs.
I might have been a little bit Might have been a little bit too young for that. So.
Oh, I was going to say, well, if I need to go to the Costa del Sol to
no, we've had a few meetings so far.
Someone.
We've had a few meetings so far, so like I said, that's all we can do. But hopefully, we can get them on board.
Yeah. Well, part of this walk and talk as well. We're up in the bar area at the moment, which is slightly different to the one at the leisure centre. One thing I will say is they seem to have working pumps, which the leisure centre didn't have.
Yes.
Which is always a plus.
Yes, that is a plus. Obviously, I think it's very important, the bar area, to socialise after the game with teammates, and obviously even midweek it's important to socialise as well at training. There's no harm in having a beer after training and having a beer after football. I think it gets the team together really well, and it's maybe something we slightly missed at the leisure centre, but obviously we found a home down the Running Horses, and it was really good down there, and we obviously now we don't need to go too far. We've got one here, which is ideal. It was another reason why we looked to move. Absolutely.
And the thing is as well, with the bar at the Erith Leisure Centre, again, we at the Dockers Debate don't actually condone getting massively drunk at football games. It might help depending on who's playing some weeks, but you never know. But the view from that bar area wasn't particularly great with the big stand there.
Yeah.
But again, it could show up here that, if there's a bad day where we had, like against Punjab last season when it was absolutely throwing it down, and also Erith and Belvedere when the rain was horizontal, when you might need to get back upstairs and sheltered. You've actually got quite a good view of the pitch from up here, haven't you? There's a balcony area as well.
It's a good facility. Obviously, it needs a little bit of TLC maybe with certain areas of it, but I think it's a great facility to. It's what I call a proper football ground, really. So it's four-sided. There's no running track no more, and we've got really next season to kick on, and we've got it all here to progress.
Yeah, and just looking at it here, you're right over you are right close to the pitch, like you say. I really like the Erith Leisure Stadium in the sense, you could speak to the committee members, the staff members who were there, but there was, as you say, that gap, wasn't there, with the running track. So I believe on a former show last season, I called it like a sort of Erith version of an Italian football ground, really, wasn't it, where you had that big track and you couldn't get near the pitch.
Yeah, it was, but obviously it helped us a lot, if I'm honest. When we played there, teams didn't like coming there, and the game could be slowed down using that, and sometimes it worked to our advantage, sometimes it didn't. But this is, like I said, a nice facility. Obviously I played here when I was younger. It wasn't as good as this, but the pitch is decent as well. It's looking nice out there towards the end of the season. So like I said, it might need a little bit of TLC, but that's something we can all do together and work as a club, work alongside our ground share with Sporting Club Thamesmead, and really, really make sure this is one of the best grounds in the league.
Well, the thing is, we've just walked down the stairs now from the bar area, which is only about I'd say about 10, 12 sort of stairs, if you will. Just looking back there's some chairs there where I'm guessing obviously the directors and some other people would sit if they, if it allowed. But the pitch now is, it's lovely, isn't it? It's very, there's still a few bits and pieces here and there, but straight away it's dead flat. There's no real bubbles anywhere. You go to some pitches at this level, Erith and Belvedere is a nice pitch, don't get me wrong, but has a tendency to be a little bit bobbly, doesn't it? But this is, looking at it, it's pristine, isn't it, really?
Yeah, like I said, it's a nice pitch. Hopefully, obviously, next season can stay the same, and we can get down and work hard and do what we do when we're on the pitch. But it's just the whole place is just a little bit, like I said, it's a little bit, now you're walking around 4 parts of the ground, you're not just walking on one side. It just feels more like a football stadium. And I feel if we want to move on to the next level, which we're looking to do, and we're looking to progress, obviously we finished in 4th last season and wasn't far off the playoffs in 2nd. We need to progress now, and I think this will help us massively.
And the thing is as well, with the non-league, you obviously know this level a lot better than I and some of the other listeners, but you go to places like Sheffield United. When I went last season to watch them play Beckenham, Erith and Belvedere we've spoke about already, VCD against Hastings a couple of years ago, you do tend to get fans, they go behind the goals of the team when the goals they're attacking, if you get what I mean. So you'll see a lot of movement walking around these stadiums, and to have this opportunity, you don't really need like a sort of Dockers end or an Erith Town end, because essentially the crowd take the end with them, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and obviously with I think our stadium, our attendances were up just under 50%. I think we was the second best at Deal. So we're starting to get a little bit of a following now, and obviously it'd be nice for them to come down and view the ground and follow us here and be able to move around 4 sides instead of just sitting in one stand at the leisure centre miles away from the pitch.
Tell us some better moments last season. What bits stand out for you? It was I think you can kindly say it was a kind of slow start compared to like the Erith and Belvedere's who went out like a train.
Look, do you know what? we understand where we are as a club and what we need to do. And yeah, it was. I think we had obviously the Vars run was superb to get as far as we did in that. And like I said, some of the wins, obviously away at Whitstable winning 4-0 there was superb.
Yeah, it's a great result, yeah.
Then I look at some of the wins, like the wins at home to Punjab, which were really good because they're a really tough side. They beat Deal 6-0 in the cup final. That was a really tough game. And then like some of the disappointing, obviously we lost away at Deal, but I think we was tremendous in both games and we didn't really embarrass ourselves in any. And I thought we could compete. The first game of the season against Phoenix, I know we lost again, but it was a fantastic game of football for the neutral. Same as when we went there and lost 2-1. Fantastic game for the neutral. But yeah, then the Whitstable Town away was really good, like I said. But listen, all wins are great. But it's nice as well. Obviously, last year when we played Kent away, having a 16-year-old scoring, coming off the bench and scoring goals, and it's just nice to see a lot of the youth coming through now. I like watching the youngsters come in and play, and obviously people like Tom Ash has played 50-60 games at this level now, same as Alfie Eldred, Ronnie McLean, Joe Chalker. These boys are really pressing on now, and it's up to them to move on to the next level and take the club to the next level.
Well, that was the thing. I remember a couple of years ago, last game of the season, the 3-2 away win at Erith and Belvedere. I remember we spoke and you had about 5 or 6 youth players in your starting line-up, and that's something you wanted to push. And like you say, you've got like Alfie Eldred there. You've also brought in players such as Harry Taylor, who's had a great season as well.
Yeah, we haven't seen the best of Harry Taylor yet, if I'm honest. We've
Oh, look at that. Go on, take that one.
Yeah.
No one noticed you taking that ball from the stand.
No, so we've only had Harry. We missed Harry for what? He's only really played a third of the season, and his goal ratio was really good. And I'll be honest, we need a fit Harry Taylor. He's back in training already. Starts tomorrow. He's back training by himself, but he's going to go back with a few of the other lads starting tomorrow. So we need to get him fit. We need to get him right, and we do need to strengthen, like I said, 3 or 4 players, and hopefully that can progress us on.
Absolutely. And the thing is as well, like walking around the stands, for people who will be coming over in the next few weeks when we've got some pre-season friendlies arranged, you'll probably see a few sort of blank advertisement boards around the place. We'll just stop here for a second and have a quick look around. But I mean,
well, the plan is to paint all these balls red and black, so we need as many volunteers as we can to get down here. We want to paint all these balls red and black, just to make it a little bit more homely. Obviously get a few banners up everywhere, but it's like I said, it's a lovely facility to be playing at. Yeah,
I mean, like looking at it now, we're sort of by the corner flag, if you will, just by the main entrance. And again, let's say you're an away fan, similar to the games we went to a couple of years ago when you had Erith Town v Portsmouth in the under-18s game. I know that was obviously a youth game, but still massive numbers. The Phoenix game last year was 360, 325, something like that.
360.
Massive numbers there. You know, non-league football, it's got that thing about it where it's kind of community. You do get your sort of diehards and you do get your people who do follow the team, but you also get a lot of people who come down and just watch the football. But you know, if you've got an opposition player here taking a corner and he can feel all the Erith Town fans around him really supporting the team, that's the kind of pressure you want, and you want to feel your team feed off. Am I right? And
obviously moving away from where we was in the community, I think, like I said, our tendencies went up. We've come here and we're doing a lot of work in the community here in Thamesmead. I know Mark's massive on it. I think he's looking to give out every child in Thamesmead a free season ticket for them to use to come down and watch games. And like I said, we want as many people from the local community to come and watch us. And I know obviously yourself and Mark are driving that as much as we can to try and get people out. Obviously we've recruited new youth teams as well. We want them heavily involved with the move. And it's nice to be based in one place really, and have that club feeling instead of being the nomads that are here and everywhere. I think since I've been at the club, we've played at VCD and EFL, so this will be the ground we've played at, and this is one we want to see our long-term future at. Absolutely.
And the thing is as well, you were just saying there about the youth. I mean, I've known Mark for a couple of years, known you for a couple of years now, obviously, working quite closely together now. But I mean, one thing that always drew me to this club more than some of the other non-league clubs in the area, because it's quite easy to, in the nice way, to latch onto a non-league club. There's so many around. You know, where I live, you've got about 4 or 5 in what a 2-3 mile radius. You know, Erith Town, Erith and Belvedere, Welling United, Dartford. The list is endless. But the emphasis on the youth, the community, the local area, bringing people in, retaining the people who come in, but also not just bringing these people in just to bring in money or just to sort of get like loads of tickets in or shirts sold or you name it, but just to be part of the community, get these people in to feel like they're part of something. That's what's really pulled me into this team.
Yeah, and that's what we're about. We want people to come along and feel comfortable and come support the team and be part of the Dockers family, and that's what it's all about really. It's about all being together. You see on our volunteer day that we had, you've got 18 to 20 people looking to put work in. It's fantastic, and it just shows what we are as a club. We're all like a little family, from the players down to little Johnny who comes and watches with his kids. No one's bigger than what the club is, and we all look to be together. And like I said, it's nice to see the players interacting a lot with the fans that come and watch, and it's even nice to see some people coming down with shirts on and things like that. We sold a lot of shirts last year, and yeah, that's really good. And people, like I said, people asking for photos, and it's great for the players, it's great for the people, and it's great for the local community.
Exactly, and the thing is as well, what some fans don't realise is when the players see that as well, and they can feel that from the fans, that could be in the nicest way. So some teams, some clubs, as I've spoke about with some other teams over the past couple of years, non-league football can be a little bit like a merry-go-round, can't it? You could have one or two players who've had about 4 or 5 clubs in a couple of seasons, but to really have that feel where you've got a decent fan base who's really, really supporting you, that could be the difference in keeping you at a club or keeping key players at clubs.
Yeah, it's tough, and obviously myself, I can't get drawn away from the club. I've had offers in the past, and it just seems to keep you here. Erith Town seems to keep you here, the way it is, the way the place is, the way the people are. And like I said, we won't change from that. We won't change from what our ethos is either, with playing the youth team, bringing them through. But now I think it's about time for us to really push on, and we've got to look to do that next year. And we know that we've had 3 full seasons now. We want to try and now go to that next level. All we've done so far is improve as a team and as a club, from off the field and on the field, and now we want to look to go to that next step, and it will be mighty tough next year, but we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, let's start walking around to the youth pitches around the corner, which, even though they're not within the main sort of speech mark stadium, if you will. Yep, thank you for pointing me in the right direction of where to go. You think I'd know by now. Been here a few times. They won't be playing in the sort of main stadium itself, if you will, but I mean, just for these kids, I mean, I'm going to help out obviously with the youth teams. I've got a couple of teams myself involved, but the idea is for these kids to sort of train next to the stadium. I'm not sure even what that is. What is that alarm?
The boiler room.
Oh, I was going to say, that was my car alarm. Yeah, we'll leave the alarm, dear listener. But as we were saying, though, there's the youth teams that I'm obviously going to help be a part of, and just overall help with the whole youth system. But what do you want from
the press box, mate? That's
the press box down there. That little bench. It's like an upgrade from Erith Leisure Centres, is it not?
Yeah. We've got a press box. That's
a 2-seat bench rather than the 1-seat.
Yeah.
No, so just going back to with the youth, what are we planning for the youth teams, the Selkent teams, and all these the youngsters who are coming through?
Yeah, so obviously we want to try and interact them as much as possible, integrate them in being involved and being around the first team. Obviously we like them all down as mascots. I think we had that numerous times last year. So it'd be good for them to get training here Saturday mornings and stay a little bit and watch the first team after that. See all the youth team players get a free season ticket as well as part of the club. So I just found that all over there. No worries.
Thank you. We're just saying thank you to the receptionist there for being a makeshift ball boy.
Obviously we want them to pop along, watch the first team and feel like obviously a part of a club, and it's great, like I said, for them all to be in one place. It's ideal for everyone. And yeah, we just want, like I said, everyone to feel part of something and feel part of Erith Town.
Well, one of the things for me is when I've come over to have a look, basically where the sort of grass pitches are, where sort of the youth team's going to play the sort of under 9s, under 10s, possibly some of the other mini soccer teams will come over in the juniors, depending on fixtures and calendars and availability. It's you want them to work hard, you want them to enjoy their football. That's the primary initiative with anything under 12. That's FA initiative. It has to happen. But you also want to inspire them, and I think when you've got a setup like this and they're going to be training literally a stone's throw from the stadium, and at training you can really say to these kids, if you work hard and you really develop and really put the effort in yourselves, we still want you to enjoy the game, we still want you to have fun playing the game and have a smile on your faces, but you can literally point over to this absolutely lovely stadium and go, you could potentially be playing here one day if it all goes well.
Yeah, and what some people tend to forget, people like we said about the youth team players earlier, they was all playing under 16s, under 18s football for Erith Town, and they've progressed into the first team environment, and as well they get a chance to play in competitions like the FA Cup, and not everyone can say that they've played in the FA Cup, which is good for these youngsters. But like I said, it's a nice little facility over here with the grass. It's an area that we can use for the youth teams. I know the first team will be doing some sessions out here pre-season while the 3G's being fixed or relayed. So it's an area we can come out, we can play. It's a nice facility. It's caged off. It's like a one club feel then, if you know. Like I said, it's a one club feel. It's not just an area where you're playing here, you're playing there. They're all playing in the same area, same location, which is really good. And you'll pop along on a Sunday, you'll see me watching youth team games, so making sure everyone's going well and see what we've got coming through for the future. And
that's the thing as well, it's like you do get a lot of teams who, in the nice possible way, without naming names, they set up the youth teams in the community kind of to tick a box. And again, I'm not going to name names or be disrespectful. Other clubs do it really, really well. But it'd be good, obviously, if we can continue with this as well. And the gate's locked, but we can look through the fence. Look, we can look through the holes. But like you said there, Adam, I went to one of the mini soccer games the other day to have a look, and you're reffing the game. I know, obviously, it's a friendly against the team you also know quite well, but it's very rare you get a first team manager of a sort of non-league semi-professional team reffing under eights Cell Kent football. On a Friday night. And again, that's absolutely no disrespect to the Cell Kent teams, because obviously I was a part of it last year, going to be a part of it next year. You've obviously got some lovely talent coming through, like you see some kids play football and you think these will get spotted in a few years the way they're going. But how often do we get first team managers come along, take time out of their day to ref the games?
It's something that I try and do, to be seen around the youth team environment and watching kids coming through, just interacting with the coaches and things like that. Obviously it's more here than just being a first team manager, and a lot of first team managers will just focus solely on the first team. That's not what I'm about. I want to make sure all the teams are doing well and all the teams are enjoying themselves, and I try to get to know all the children's names as much as I can as well, which is tough obviously because there's a lot of kids. But yeah, it's just popping along and being that face and giving little bits of information if you can to help them out. And like I said, I don't claim to be no Pep Guardiola, but sometimes the kids appreciate a little tip. So that's what I try and do.
Yeah, and also as well for these kids, in the nicest possible way. You're obviously the first team manager. You can have first team players come down watching them. For them, that's the incentive to really kick on. Like you're playing at lovely facilities. You're playing for a well-known, respected non-league semi-professional side. You're part of you come down, train and play at lovely facilities, or we're in the car park about to get run over. And you've got the first team manager and the first team players really interacting with you and showing a real interest in how you're doing. There's not really a lot more you can ask for, really, if you're a young player, is there? No,
and that's what it's about. And it's like I said, we want to try and be in one place so they're all getting to play, and they can see the first team pitch. They can see maybe finish their training session and see them walk past the first team lads training. And like I said, none of the first team lads claim to be superstars. We're all down to earth people. We've actually got some first team players that are managing teams next year and doing some coaching. We try and encourage that as well, which is really good. And like I said, try and keep it within the club.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think, to be fair, I think that's our tour. We've done the walk around the pitch. We've seen the bar, the important area, with the Moretti and Guinness on tap.
Very important.
Yeah, I think we try and get a Madri in there as well, if anyone's listening. Yeah. We've seen the youth team pitches, which is obviously where the youngsters are going to play. Anything else from you, Mr. Woodward?
No, just looking forward to next season. Obviously, the move's going to be fantastic, and hopefully we can have a good season and both ourselves and Millwall can get up the league.
Absolutely, yeah, why not? So this is the Dockers Debate signing out. #up the Dockers.
Cheers, thank you.